Hi everybody, welcome to Preschool Sewing. I'm really looking forward to sewing with you. I hope you are too. You should have a kit, and if you don't, we'll have the items listed that you need underneath this video. First of all, you'll have some fabric. And the funny thing is that this isn't actually fabric. It's shelf liner, but it feels like fabric and it has big holes in it, which will help us sew. So you'll have two of those. One will have a circle and one will be plain. Then you'll have what's called an embroidery hoop. This is made out of wood, and this is going to help us hold on to our fabric. A little bit later, I'll mention this, but if you have trouble holding on to this while you're sewing, what I suggest you do is put it against your body and sew like this. I'll mention this again later in the video, but this will help if you have little hands to sew. Just hold it against your body like this. So besides this, we'll also have a needle. Let's see if we can see it. And these needles are fine. They're made out of plastic, so they're not going to hurt us, but they'll help us learn how to sew. You'll have some yarn. Everyone has different color yarn. This is the color I have, but you probably have a different color. And then you'll have two small pieces of pipe cleaner. And in addition to that, you'll probably need a pencil and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. Okay, everyone, let's get going and let's start our sewing. Remember, this is what we'll be making first. Just a reminder. So let me show you what we're going to be doing. What you will need first is your piece of cloth that has a circle drawn on it. It's just drawn in pencil, but it'll help you know where you need to put your stitches. Besides that, you're going to need your yarn and your needle. The needles are plastic. They won't hurt you. And they have a great big eye in them. That's this part, this hole. It's called an eye to put your thread through. So we're going to take some yarn. It's up to you how much you would like to take. And we're going to cut it nicely with some scissors. Now, I know a lot of people have trouble threading a needle. What I suggest that you do is take your yarn and pinch it between your fingers like this. Do you see how it's right in there? And then you can use your needle just like this and push it through. And it looks like that. So now we have our needle, our fabric, and our thread. Now, you usually need to put a knot at the end of your thread. I know some of you have trouble with knots. So if you have trouble with knots, when we get started, you can go ahead and just tape it to the back of the fabric instead. But for now, I'm going to put a triple knot. That means 3 knots in this to keep it from going through the fabric. This might be something you need your grown-ups help with. But like I said, if you have trouble with knots, you can tape it to the back of the fabric. So there we go. There's our knot. All right, I'm going to set this to the side for just a second to show you what kind of stitch we're going to do first. The first kind of stitch that we're going to do is called a straight stitch or a running stitch. These are holes in the fabric, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. We're going to come up in one hole, and we're going to go down in another hole. And then we'll be behind the fabric, and we'll come up in this hole and go down in this hole. And then here we're going to come up in this hole and go down in this hole. All right, I know I made them look like rainbows there, so let me show you if it were straight. We come up in this hole, we go down in this hole, we come up in this hole, we go down in this hole, we come up in this hole, and we go down in this hole. See how it looks like dashes with spaces in between? That's how we're going to go around our smiley face. See, I'll show you. See what it looks like here? That's what we're going to do first. So let's get started. We have our thread. We have our fabric. Now, we are going to use a embroidery hoop for this as well. So you need to take this And you need to hold on to it, both sides. See how it has a little nut here? And it has like a spot to unscrew here. You're going to unscrew it so it gets kind of big. And then it's going to come into two pieces. See the two pieces? We are going to lay the smaller piece under the fabric. Can you see it through the fabric? See how it's right around here? And then we're going to take the larger one and we're going to push down to put the fabric in between. Now, if it doesn't fit, you need to loosen this up a little bit, just like we did the first time. So we loosen that up a little bit more and we push down and see how it goes around? Just like that. If it's a little loose, go ahead and tighten it up at this point. And this is really nice because it helps you keep your fabric nice and tight. Just like that. Now, as I said at the very beginning, I usually hold mine like this and then stitch. You have smaller hands, so if you need to put it against your body while you do it, that's fine as well. So let's go ahead and get started with our straight stitch or our running stitch. Now remember, as I said, we're going to find a hole, doesn't matter which hole, and we're going to come up through the hole. And you're going to pull it all the way through. Okay, now remember, I put a knot on the back. But if you don't know how to knot, this would be the time that you could take a piece of tape and tape it down on the other side. Okay, so this is the front side. All right, now we are going to find another hole. So let's see. Let's go with this one. Is there a right answer to this? No, there is not. We are just trying to go around in a circle. And looky there, we made our first stitch. All right, now we are going to skip a space, remember? So I'm going to go up right here. And then I'm going to pull it all the way through like that until it feels like it has gone all the way through. It'll look like that on the back. If you end up with all kinds of like squigglies here on the back and it gets all tangled, ask a grown-up to help you untangle it. And I'll also show you a little hint at some point here on how to keep it from getting tangled. So now we have gone through that. Now we go through the next hole down. Remember, we're making it look like little dashes. So now we have our second stitch. We'll make a few more. Go up through that one. And then let's look to see where the next one is. And down through this one. Do you see the dashes, how they're like starting to go every other? Now, is there a right way to do this? Of course there's not a right way. We're just practicing. So if yours doesn't look exactly like mine, that's perfectly okay. Everybody has different color fabric and different color yarn, different color needles. So everybody's is going to look different. I'm going to do a couple more stitches coming up through a hole, pulling it all the way through. Try not to pull too tight because that might pull on your fabric. That's another reason why we like this, because it keeps it from getting all bunched up. All right, we'll go down one more. All right, and that's what we have so far going around the circle. Now you continue going around the circle, and when you're ready to keep going, we'll figure out the rest of it when we get back. Okay, we fast forwarded a little bit, and I'm almost done with my circle now. So let's go ahead and finish it up. Remember, we're still going every other. How is everybody's looking so far? Is it looking pretty good? I hope so. Now, if you're looking at my circle, is it perfect? No, it is not. I am trying my best. but sometimes it gets a little wobbly. And that's okay, because I like it that way, because it shows that I made it by hand. All right, see how it looks like a circle? See, I have some wobbly spots and different spots. That's okay. I like it that way, just the way it is. So we're going to go ahead and flip it over. This is the back side. See how it looks on back? And we can either knot it, or remember I said you could cut it and tape it if that's what you would prefer. Just a small piece of Scotch tape will keep it in place. But I'm going to knot it, and I like to do it just right like this, where I'm putting the needle right through it, and I hold my thumb down and I pull it through. So again, I'm sticking the needle through the loop like this and putting my thumb down and just dragging it through. If you like to make knots another way, that's okay too. So see, now we have our knots there. We're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut it, but we're going to just leave just a little bit, because if we cut it too close, we might cut the fabric. So that is our circle so far. So now, you'll remember we also had eyes. So everyone has a couple of different color buttons. Now, I have to tell you, Miss Wendy made a mistake on this. Miss Wendy thought that it would be fun to learn how to stitch these on with our yarn. But guess what? Watch this. They don't fit. The needle gets stuck in the holes of the buttons. So we're going to attach our buttons in a different way. We're going to go ahead and put the needle to the side and use something else. We are going to use the 2 pieces of pipe cleaner that I have included in your kit. So let's go ahead and bend one in half like this. And this is really neat. We can put them through the holes of the buttons to attach them like that. See how it goes through like that? And then we'll pull it through. So it looks like this. And I'm going to go, where should I put my eye? I think I'll put my eye right here. Now we're going to, let me get my hands out of the way. We're going to shove this through the holes just like we did our thread. Let me show you from the side so you can see what I'm doing. See, we're shoving it through. We're going to push it down and then turn it over. And see how they're sticking through? Now we can attach this a couple different ways, just like before. If we wanted to, we could just bend them and it'll stay. We could twist it like you do like a twist tie for bread or something, and that will probably stay even better. So that is what it will look like. Let's go ahead and do the second one so our smiley face has 2 eyes. Remember, we're bending this in half, so it looks like that. Then we're taking our button, sticking it through the holes, so it looks like that. We're going to push it through, just like that. And then we're going to find a couple spots here. Now I'm going to guess that Miss Wendy's eyes are going to be a little off, because not too bad. Those are pretty good. And then we're going to flip it back over. And I just gave it a little twist, but you don't have to twist it. You can just lay it flat. So your back will look like that. All right, let's see what our smiley face guy looks like so far. Okay, he looks like he can see, and he looks like he has a head, but what is he missing? I think he's missing his smile. So I didn't draw the smile on there because I wanted everyone to be able to figure out their own smiles. But let me show you what type of stitch we're going to use for that. Can you use the same kind of stitch that we used around? Of course you can. Remember, this was just every other, and that looks just fine too. If you wanted to use a pencil to draw a smile and then do it the same way we did the circle, that would be a great idea. Otherwise, if you want to learn another kind of stitch, we can learn what is called a back stitch. Now remember, these are the holes that we were using. So for this, what we're going to do, it's kind of cool. It makes a solid line. So we're going to come up in this spot, and we're going to sew and go down in that spot. So I'll make an arrow because this is kind of confusing. Now instead, this is number 1. Now instead of coming up here, we're going to come up in this one. So we're going to go underneath the fabric. See, we're going underneath the fabric and coming up through this one and going down in this one. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Remember, we're here. We're going to go underneath the fabric and come up here and go to that one. Now, what do you notice when I'm doing this? Remember our last one? Here, I'll show you. We can compare. Remember this one? This was a dash. Remember, we had almost like a pattern. We had a stitch, and then there was a stitch, and then there was a stitch. So there was white space in between. This one helps us make a solid line, so there's no spaces. So we have this stitch, and then we go underneath, and we go all the way to here, and then we have this stitch, and then we go all the way to here, and then we have this stitch. Now, where do you think we go? All right, let's see. We go underneath the fabric, and we come up here, and we make another stitch. So that's what we're going to do to make our smile, if you want. If you want to do it like this or another way, of course you can. This is your smiley face. But this will give you another choice to use. All right, let's go ahead and try that. All right, here is our guy. Now we're going to need some more yarn. So remember, we pull some yarn off of our skein of yarn here. And then we cut it with our scissors. And do you remember how we thread the needle? Well, you can thread the needle whatever works for you, but for me, I pinch it really tight between my fingers, and then I use that to push it through. See how it's coming through? And then I grab it and I pull it through. All right, just like before, if you're not good at knots, you can go ahead and tape it on the back. I'm just going to put another triple knot in this because the holes are so big, one knot doesn't usually work. I pull it right through, and I find that very frustrating. All right, so we will go ahead and put a triple knot in here, just like that. All right, you know what? I'm not very good at doing this all by myself, so I'm going to just use a pencil, and I'm going to just draw a little bit of a spot that I'm thinking that I might like to have my smiley face. It's very light, but it'll help me know where to go. All right, remember, we're going to use this new stitch. If you use the other stitch, you go right ahead and ignore this part and just do exactly what you would like as far as it being dashed like that. All right, so we're going to come up, and then we're going to go down. All right, this looks exactly like before, right? Here's the difference. Now we're going to come up here, but instead of going this way so that it makes a dash, we're going to go back to the other stitch. And we're going to go right down that same hole. Look at that. Now it's solid. All right, let's try that again. We're going to go far away. See this one here? We're going to go up. And then we're going to come right down right next to that one so that there's no space in between. Look at that. How neat is that? All right, I think my smile is getting a little crooked, but that's okay. That's why I drew it light. And then we go right back down, right next to it. How's everyone doing? This one's a little bit harder, but it lets us make a straight line. See how it is all together. All right, I will let you take a little break and do it while I'm finishing mine up as well. Okay, we're back. I've been working really hard on my smile. I hope you are too. And I thought I would finish it up with you. We have a few more stitches. So remember, we're always coming toward the other stitches. We go away. So they look like that. And then toward. All right, I have one more stitch. It's a little wobbly looking, and I don't think it's quite in the center, but that's okay, because I'm feeling very proud that I did this by myself. So there is my smile, and I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to put a couple of knots in here. But again, if it's easier for you, you go ahead and just tape it down. You would cut it right here and just tape that down so it holds it in place. I think that's a very good idea for people who aren't very good at knots yet. So this is what my smiley face looked like. And all I need to do is push this down, take this one off, take the one from underneath, and there's my smiley face. I think he turned out pretty good. I hope yours did too. Oh my goodness, wasn't that a lot of fun? How did everybody's smile faces turn out? If you'll remember, this is the one that I just did. And here is our first sample. Now they're different colors because I had different color yarn and different color buttons for the eyes, so everyone's will look different. Now, if you'll remember when at the beginning I said you had 2 pieces of fabric, you have another one too. It's blank. So you can do whatever you would like on this one. You could draw a design and then sew it. You could try to just do it without a design if you would like, but all you need to do is put it into the embroidery hoop, just like we did the other one, and you'll be able to make your own design. You could make another smiley face if you wanted to. You could make a fish, you could make a dog, you could make a sunshine, all kinds of things. Just use your imagination. I hope you had fun learning to sew a little bit today. Thanks for joining us. Bye.